The rain was falling hard against the glass windows of the small auto repair shop on the edge of town. Inside, the air smelled faintly of oil, rubber, and freshly brewed coffee. The sound of clinking tools and the occasional hum of an air compressor filled the space, but it was otherwise quiet, until the door swung open. She stepped inside, her high heels clicking against the tiled floor. They were the only expensive things she still owned. Her once perfect hair was damp from the rain, strands clinging to her face. Her designer coat looked out of place in the humble setting of the mechanic's workshop. This was not where a woman like her usually came. She was known in the city as the CEO who had built an empire from nothing, the woman who commanded boardrooms and outmaneuvered rivals with calm confidence. But today, her shoulders were slumped, her eyes hollow. "Can I help you?" asked the mechanic, wiping his hands on a rag. He was in his late 30s, wearing a faded t-shirt and overalls smudged with grease. His voice was calm but kind. He had seen all kinds of people come through his shop. Rushed business people, families on road trips, young drivers on their first car breakdown, but there was something about this woman that made him pause. She opened her mouth to speak, but her voice cracked. I lost everything." For a moment, the mechanic didn't respond. He simply looked at her, seeing past the designer clothes and expensive perfume to the exhaustion beneath. She took a deep breath, as if saying it out loud made it more real. "The company is gone. The investors pulled out. My board voted me out. I lost my house, and," her voice broke again, "I thought I had friends, but when the money disappeared, so did they." The mechanic set down the rag and leaned against the counter. He didn't look surprised. Life had taught him that people could be quick to vanish when things got hard. "That's rough," he said quietly. Her eyes filled with tears. "I worked for 15 years to build that company. I gave it everything, every single thing, and now," she shook her head. "Now I'm here because my car broke down on my way to, I don't even know where. I don't even have a home anymore." The mechanic walked around the counter, stopping a few feet away from her. He didn't rush to comfort her. Instead, he gave her space, letting the silence stretch until she met his gaze. "You still have her," he said softly. She frowned. "What?" The mechanic nodded toward the door. She turned her head slowly and saw a little girl standing just inside the doorway, clutching a stuffed rabbit. The child had been so quiet she almost forgot she was there. The girl looked up at her mother with big, worried eyes. "She's been watching you this whole time," the mechanic continued. "You think you've lost everything, but you haven't. You still have her, and from the way she's holding that rabbit, I'd say you're her whole world." The woman's lip trembled. She had been so consumed by her losses, money, status, reputation, that she hadn't stopped to think about what she still had. She bent down, wrapping her arms tightly around her daughter. The little girl hugged her back without hesitation, as if she knew her mother needed it more than anything. The mechanic waited until the moment passed before speaking again. "You know," he said, "money comes and goes. Companies rise and fall. Friends, sometimes they turn out not to be friends at all. But that little girl, she's not going anywhere, and she's looking at you like you're the strongest person she's ever known." The woman wiped her eyes. "I don't feel strong. That's the thing about strength," he replied. "Sometimes it's just putting one foot in front of the other when you don't want to. Sometimes it's fixing what you can, even when you can't fix everything. Cars, people, not that different, really. Both need care, patience, and someone willing to work on them." The woman almost smiled. It wasn't much, but it was the first time her lips had curved upward in days. "You sound like you've been through this before." The mechanic shrugged. "I've lost things too, not the same as you, but enough to know it's never really the end unless you stop trying. Besides," he added with a small grin, "I fix broken things for a living." While he went to check her car, she sat with her daughter in the small waiting area. The rain outside softened to a drizzle. The little girl leaned against her, humming quietly to her stuffed rabbit. Watching her child's small, innocent face, the woman felt something shift inside her. The truth was, she had been so focused on the wreckage of her life that she had forgotten the most precious part of it was still intact. When the mechanic returned, his hands were clean but his overalls were still stained with grease. "Your car's going to need a new alternator. It'll take a few hours to get the part in. You're welcome to wait here, he hesitated. "Or I can drive you and your daughter to a place I know. It's not fancy, but the owner's a friend of mine. He runs a small guest house. You can stay there for a few days, no charge, until you figure out your next steps." Her eyes widened. "Why would you do that for me? You don't even know me." The mechanic's answer was simple. Because someone once did it for me. And I never forgot. She swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he replied with a gentle smile. That night, she and her daughter stayed in the small guest house at the edge of town. It wasn't much, just a single room with 2 beds, a small bathroom, and a window overlooking a garden, but it was warm and safe. The little girl fell asleep quickly, clutching her rabbit. The woman sat by the window, watching the moonlight spill across the garden, thinking about the mechanic's words. She realized that losing everything had stripped away the noise, the people who were only there for her success. What was left was real, her daughter, her love, and the unexpected kindness of strangers. Over the next few days, she made calls, reached out to contacts she trusted, and began sketching ideas for a new business. It wouldn't be as big as the empire she had lost, not yet, but it would be hers, built from a place of love rather than fear. She planned to start small, maybe even in that very town. The mechanic's shop wasn't far from the main road, and she noticed plenty of empty storefronts nearby. On her last day at the guest house, she stopped by the shop to thank the mechanic. He was working on a battered pickup truck, but he put down his tools when he saw her. You were right, she told him. I didn't lose everything. She glanced at her daughter, who was waiting in the car, waving happily. I still have the most important thing. And I'm going to build something new, not just for me, but for her. The mechanic smiled, a small but genuine expression. That's all that matters. You'll be fine, I can tell. As she drove away, the rain had stopped completely, and the sun was breaking through the clouds. It was as if the world itself was telling her that storms pass, and what comes after can be even more beautiful. She had walked into that repair shop believing she had nothing left. She left with hope, a reminder of what truly mattered, and the knowledge that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could change the course of a life. Because in the end, the mechanic was right, she still had her. And that was everything.